children with them. And I keep reminding people that is not a romantic, beautiful, romantic story. You're talking about mass rape and mass, assertion and just doing what you want with the female species of planet Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem we're just this huge melting pot right now of genetics from all different places. And I know looking into a lot of the Native American legends is a lot of them point to different star systems as saying their origins. Some point to the Pleiades and say we can, like in the Cherokee Nation, they point to the Pleiades as their origin. And I know some of the Hawaiians also do too. And they actually say they came from Africa before they came to Hawaii. And it would be so interesting to have, and I know you've done a lot of this already, but to have a real history book of who's who on the Earth and who came and who went and when and make some sense out of all this.
Yeah, look, I'm absolutely confident right now that the human origins, as you said, even the native people of Hawaii say that they came from Africa. I'm absolutely convinced that we are looking, with the discoveries we've got there in Southern Africa, South Africa and Zimbabwe mainly, also Botswana and Mozambique, but it's less populated there. I have no doubt that those original prototype humans came from Southern Africa, and then from there were taken out later by the Anunnaki and dropped off all over the world and made to continue setting up civilization and gold mining and other mining operations there. And that seems to be the real... There seem to be two periods during of this colonization of the rest of the Earth. One is around 75,000 years ago. I know that until recently it was 50,000 years, and it became 60,000 years, then 65. Now it's sitting at about 75,000 years, or between 70 and 75,000 years. I believe that exodus from Africa, where we start seeing the appearance of maybe like the Aboriginal people in Australia and many of the early native tribes in the Americas and so forth, I believe that was caused by the Lake Toba supervolcano. The reason I say that is because the ash from Lake Toba has been found in sediments in South Africa. And if that is the case, for those that have seen the documentary on that, that happened around 74,000 years ago, they believe. That would have caused many of the people in southern Africa to just pack up and leave and move north and evacuate that part of the world for a while, and forced to start other civilizations elsewhere, because life must have been pretty nasty down there for a while. And then came the flood. 13,000 years ago, we had the flood that pretty much wiped everything out. That's we got seashells, sea sand, fossilized fish on tops of the mountains found in among the ruins. There's no doubt that it was a giant movement of water that destroyed that entire civilization. Imagine the size of Texas, and maybe even more size of Texas and its neighboring states, completely wiped out by a giant wall of water. It's quite spectacular.
We've seen. I know in a pole shift, you have 40. I think it's 41 or 42 kilometer bulge at the equator, and if the Earth actually slips and starts moving like Einstein talks about, what you'd have is like if you really think about it, you'd have like a continents dropping and rising miles.
Exactly.
As the Earth resets itself with the big washing machine effect, like the old washing machines that went up and down, with the water just wave after wave. Crazy things. You'd have volcanoes erupting, huge quakes. And obviously the Earth has a long history of this happening, and it's in the geological patterns that they have had major pole shifts and massive eruptions and quakes, and it's just a part of the Earth's history. So it would seem logical that people were just moved all over the planet, and whoever moved and went with the flow that were paying attention were probably the ones that survived.
Yeah. I also believe that the movement was instigated by the Anunnaki, or the overlords, or the gods, if you want to call them that, the advanced beings, because of the necessity. They needed to get more gold. Remember, after all, this is what it's all about in the end. It's all about gold. I mean, it's spectacular gold mining operations in southern Africa. People just they just have no idea of the extent and the size of it. I just want to give you a bit of a teaser here, is that I have a record of at least in just one small, about 100 by 100 mile area near the town of Nelspruit, there's been a survey done by a geological mining company of 75,000 ancient gold mines.
Wow.
Okay, now, if there's any doubt in anybody's mind where the so-called Abzu, the Sumerian Abzu is or was, that the Anunnaki set up their gold mining operations, there can be, there's no more doubt about that. It's in southern Africa.
Definitely. Yeah, I heard a channeled message from a pretty reputable channel and about the Anunnaki, and it was quite interesting. And they said that they love their creations, and that gave a similar analogy that you did, almost taken a little different, like a horse maybe that would serve you. You love your horse, but you hop on your horse, you ride your horse, and you feed your horse, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship going on. And
exactly.
A little different, but they talked a lot about, basically they said that's where we got our image of the bearded gods that came from them, and it went on and on and on, and talked just like you said, that they came here something like 400,000 years ago. The first ones came here, and then what they said was that they knew changes were coming, and they were moving, expanding out and creating other civilizations here and there, and they always had a representative that was the overlord, or whatever you want to call it, the king. The god, I guess, that they call them the gods in the ancient days. That was an overlord, and then he had his small contingent, that served him, that helped, rule and whatever. And it seems like that's, exactly like you're saying. According to this message, it was identical, and they went into more detail about it, but the message that we got was almost identical to what you're saying.
Well, look, I've been told that the information that I have is accurate, and the knowledge that I'm sharing with people is accurate. And I've been given some corrections here and there. For example, the whole thing on monoatomic gold and shiny gold, and the rise of civilizations after the flood and so forth. Those are interesting things. One of the most interesting thing I was told is that in my channeling with Enki, I asked a lot of questions structured with yes or no answers so that I would get through them quickly, and being able to extract enough information that was close enough to the truth without just sitting and listening to long-winded explanations, which sometimes, as you know, in channelings happens. It happens, they start to talk to you, and then it goes on very long-winded. Sometimes the channel himself or herself struggles to find the right words to express themselves, so it could get very confusing as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so I prefer to structure my questions in the channelings. I've only done one personally, and then two others that I attended with group channeling. I like to structure them with yes or no answers, and I find that really helps a great deal. Like were the hexagonal shaped structures used as cloning tanks? The answer is yes. How long did it take? That was one question that I asked, which was a straight question. How long did it take to grow the clones, the humans, into adulthood? Did you grow them from embryo to adulthood? The answer was yes. And I said, how long did it take? And the answer was the normal period. And I asked, is that the normal period as in a normal pregnancy? And the answer was yes. So these are very interesting things, and I think that that it's important to keep an open mind about the channeling things. I believe that as long as people can get in and claim that they're telling you information, they could also be telling you a lot of rubbish and a lot of disinformation, and I think that certainly is happening.
Definitely, yeah. I back in the 70s, I went through the Tibetan Foundation, and because of my drowning, I had this death experience, you might say. I was one of their best channels, but I saw what happened there. It was getting so convoluted, and people that weren't connected were channeling their own subconscious, and a lot of ego involved and everything, and they were trained that their best channels were doing around 70%. So 30% was their own belief system, and going through their own filters and things, and people don't take that into account. And I stopped channeling, and I just focused mainly on healing and helping people to make their own inner connection. And I got out of it, I said, because it's just gotten so convoluted, and it's sad out there, because I mean, today you can go to 10 different channels and get 10 different truths about the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. I think I was, at this stage, I'm quite maybe reasonably fortunate that I've had 3 channeling sessions, and actually, no, I'm lying. I've had like 5 now. I forgot about 2 others. And all the information that I've got so far is very consistent from very diverse channelings. And
yeah, that's good. That's
very good, yeah.
I'm sure you'll be led. A lot of times if you just trust your own inner guidance, and if this information is to be out, and there's a higher guidance or a higher wisdom behind all this, that you'll be led to the right people. I know that's what happened to me. I was just constantly led to the best of the best. It was just amazing, and I didn't even have to go anywhere. A lot of them just showed up on my doorstep, which was kind of crazy. But
no, it's really interesting. We had a situation like this in Taos just the other day, where I was doing one of my presentations on this whirlwind tour of the United States. And Taos was a huge, huge surprise. What an amazing place. And there was a guy there, Matthew, who gave us a reading and a channel. It just turned into a channeling, and the information that came out of there was just spectacular. And once again, corroborated a lot of the things that I've been doing and working on, and things, discoveries that I've made and suggested were X, Y, and Z, and many of them were confirmed. And then also, sometimes it's nice because they give you some insight as to what you should be looking at and you shouldn't, and for those people that need a bit of guidance, I suppose it could help.
Yeah, it's good if you have a good channel that knows how to get themselves out of the way, and they've done their own clearing homework. You can get some really good information, but that's the key.
What I wanted to just share with you as well about these ancient civilizations, if I could come back to that, and where I think this is all going, and ultimately, I believe that's my journey, and the reason I'm involved here is because my obsession with science and technology and free energy, the fact that one of my biggest gripes is this whole control of the human race by the elite, the royal bloodlines that have taken over. I think this control really kicked in after the flood. I think after the flood, there was quite a desperate move to get a lot more gold out of the ground, to speed up the gold mining process. There was obviously a lot of destruction. A lot of the gold mines were destroyed. Well, pretty much all of it was destroyed, and they had to start from scratch. And that's where I see the rapid rise of civilization.